The Superman pose is a really dominant pose, and there are certainly places where you're going to want to have that kind of dominance, maybe in a situation. When you're networking, you really don't want to be in a super pose like that, because it's intimidating for somebody who's maybe not as confident as you are. So it takes up a lot of space. And typically when we see that pose, if you think of it, it was like our mom when they were mad at us, right? And so it can also convey anger as well as power. So when you are standing with people, be aware of how much space you're taking up, okay? So this particular picture has some mixed reviews, at least between me and my husband. So I see this as, oh my God, I haven't seen you in a really long time. And my husband sees this as, I want you to think that I'm honest. So who thinks, I want you to think that I'm honest? Put your hand up really high. And who thinks, I haven't seen you in a really long time? Okay, so you can see how body language can be interpreted in different ways. So it's something to be aware of. And it was a little, very, almost even, a little bit more on the I haven't seen you in a long time. So, but what I like about this is his eyes are upwards. Everything about his face is showing gravity-defying features. So when you see that, when somebody's like that, they're interested in what you're saying. They are engaged with you because their eyes are going upwards, their mouth is going upwards, his body language is upwards. This pose particularly, I just clicked something, but is honesty. I don't have anything to hide. This pose is I want some money from you. I see from my children, but this is honesty, okay? So, now the stance that you want to have when you are networking is shoulders back and down. As we get a little bit more stress, our shoulders typically tend to come up. So if your shoulders are back and down and you're nice relaxed, your chin should be at even level. When your chin is back like this, it's when you've decided that you're uncomfortable in a situation, you pull back a little bit, and if your chin is too high, you're kind of snooty. So you want to make sure nice and even, relax, and an even stance, and that shows you're ready and alert to talk to somebody. Facial expressions say everything. This guy is really not happy with what he's seeing or what somebody's saying. You can see it with the mouth pulled back. Very different than the gravity-defying features from the other guy. So you want to be careful when you are in a networking group that your inside thoughts aren't accidentally coming out somewhere. So if you cross somebody and you're thinking, oh my God, what is she wearing, right? Like that is absolutely showing up on your face. And other people will see that, whether it's the person you're looking at or another person, they're going to see that and they're going to interpret that in a way that is not going to be very flattering for you. Also, you want to be aware of how you can control your movements. We do a lot of things when we're nervous. Sometimes it's touching our hair, sometimes it's worrying at clothing. Wringing of hands is also another sign to show that you are uncomfortable in a particular situation. So you want to remember to control those if you can. If you see it with somebody, you know that they're not feeling very confident, so maybe go up and say hi. So again, you're looking for synchrony. You're looking to have people mirroring body image. These girls are super in sync, and this couple here, really, really in sync with each other. So when you're seeing that mirroring of body language, you know that that person is really liking what they're seeing and what you're saying. So that was second 1 and 2. This is second 3. Okay, so your smile. Your smile makes such a big difference. Okay, smiles, people think when somebody is smiling genuinely that you are more approachable, you're more trustworthy, and actually when people smile really genuinely, they also think that you are more attractive. So if you want a little beauty bump, just plaster on a really nice big smile and you're good to go, okay? So there's a real big difference between real smiles and fake smiles, right? So you can see her real smile, her lips are all the way back, her cheeks are fully engaged, and that smile goes right up to her eyes. On this side here, it's pulled back and she's got a nice smile, but it's not quite as engaged. And where you can really see it is in kids, right? I can remember trying to get our oldest son to smile for a picture, and he's like, and it just is like the worst grimaces ever. So a real smile and the fake smile makes such a huge difference, okay? A real smile makes you feel good. It's contagious. And the neat thing about it is when you smile, it reduces your anxiety levels quite a bit, and it helps to reduce the anxiety levels of other people when they start to smile. So if you smile at them and they smile back, everybody is starting to de-stress a little bit. So it's good to remember that. So the fake smile doesn't really make you smile in the same way, although admittedly it can make you laugh for sure. Okay, so that's second 3. Second 3, 4, 5, and 6 is typically the greeting and the handshake. So after somebody sees you and they've decided, okay, I'm okay with this, I'm going to come up, or you decide that you're going to talk to them, your greeting makes a really big difference, because we can say hello, or we can be sarcastic with it, or we can be really loud with it. So the way you greet somebody does make a difference, and it does need to be really authentic to you. I didn't realize it would stay on that, actually. So, yeah, so it has to be very, very authentic. And you want it to be something that you would normally say, maybe how you doing, not quite the right, the right one for you in a networking group. But if I guess you're comfortable with it, go with it, you might get a laugh. So for women, though, when you are greeting somebody, it is important for you to drop the octave of your voice just a little bit. Okay, because lower voice is taken more seriously. Higher voices are seen to be less intelligent, and also squeaky voices are very annoying. So you want to make sure that that voice is dropped down just a little bit in the octave. And then the level of your voice is also important. If you're too soft when you're talking, it sends the message that you are not confident, that you're weak. And if you're too loud, it's the opposite. You got that really big, bold, brash voice that's going on. I have a friend of mine who has that voice, and and I'm okay with going out into groups with him. His voice travels really well, and you can see it's actually interesting to watch other people's body language when you're in a situation like that, because he's talking and people are kind of looking and they're a little like, oh my God, and he's really, really loud. So remember that too loud is also uncomfortable for people. Too soft, it's really hard to hear. So in a networking situation, you want to make sure you get some good volume. Okay, so simultaneously with the greeting comes the handshake. Your handshake does also say a lot about you. How many people have experienced a bad handshake? Okay, so hands up still. Of those people, hands up, who had a bad handshake, how many of you, keep your hands up if you made a judgment based on the opinion, based on the personality of that person? Okay, and then how many of you who made that judgment based on the personality were right? Okay, right? Because the handshake does convey parts of your personality. You got the bone crusher, that's somebody with something to prove to you. Right? They want to show that they're dominant, but more importantly, they want you to know that you're inferior. So that dominating handshake is saying something to you. It's sending a message, and you're sending messages all the time. The wet fish, right? It's awful getting us super uncomfortable. It says you have no backbone, right? You're completely not confident or comfortable, and you probably don't want to touch people. So really, what are you doing out at a networking event with a handshake like that, right? There's the princess. I've been on the receiving end of the princess. I don't know what it's like for guys, but for me, when I received that, I was like, I don't even know what to do with this. And then I thought, wow, what a prima donna. And then I thought afterwards, I was totally right about that. So it does really convey what your personality is like. The politician, when somebody grabs your other hand or your arm and they put their hands on you, what I want to say about that is don't. Just don't, okay? It's just inappropriate. Don't drag people around by the hand, or I had that too, where somebody like doesn't let go. It's like, my goodness, just stop already, okay? So what you want in a handshake is something that is really nice and firm. So it's hard to do this just with me. So your thumbs go web to web, okay? So you should be connecting right here, web to web with people, and then you're gonna clasp hands. The pressure on the hand should be firm and equal to the pressure that the other person's giving you. Okay, so you have a nice even handshake. Then when you do have this handshake, you're going to shake somebody's hand, a couple of pumps. Then what you're going to do is you're going to stand back and turn just slightly to the side. It's going to be so much fun seeing this on the break. Okay, so you're going to shake hands, stand back a wee bit, and turn to the side. The reason that you're going to stand back is not everybody has the same space bubble as you do. I have a really close space bubble. I love hugging people. Note to all those people who don't know me yet. I really like that. I'm okay with people standing close to me. Other people are not. In North America, it's typically about 18 to 36 inches is the comfort zone. So when you take that little slight step back, what it allows is for the other person to close that zone for you in a way that they are comfortable with, okay? So it lets them close the gap. So you want to let them move in, and as you have a conversation, they'll move to the place where they are the most comfortable. And then the reason you want to turn a little bit to the side is when you don't really know somebody well, if you're coming straight on at them, that's actually an aggressive stance. Okay, so if you think about animals in the animal kingdom, they typically turn like full on sideways because it's the biggest view that they can give you for intimidation tactics. For humans, our biggest view is front on, not side on. So it's just a little bit more comforting. And I know that Vince talks about this all the time. When you see people who are in this V sort of stance, they're open to people coming in. As you start to engage more in your conversation, what you'll find is that you guys will start to turn towards each other and be face to face more. So that will happen naturally as you engage in the conversation, which is kind of nice. And then you want to have, of course, after the greeting and the handshake, your follow-up question. And so this is a really important part of everything that you do, because now if you're meeting your new best friend, what do you do isn't really getting you anywhere. It's not teaching you or getting about any information about the person who's in front of you. So instead you want to ask something that will get them to tell you a little bit more about themselves, their backstory, a little bit more about the things that are important to them. So something like, what do you like about what you do, or how did you get into what you do, will give you more of their story. Then your biggest thing at this point is to listen. Okay? People who listen really well can build trust because it validates the person who's in front of them. They feel like they're being listened to and that they're being honored in what they're saying. So get out there and listen and ask questions. Be curious about that other person so that you can learn more about the new best friend that you're trying to make. And the very last thing that I wanted to leave you with is something that Vince already said, is be interested, not interesting. That's really what we want to do out there, is really get to know other people. And that's it for me. Thank you so much for having me. That's it for me. Thank you so much for having me.